In simple terms, fight choreography is the list of sequential actions in a fight. Good fight choreography is not common in battle manga, but when it happens, it's a sight to behold. Panel flow is a word that's used to describe the flow of reading comics, but I'm going to split it into two different terms for clarity: eye flow and frame flow. Eye flow is the one that is more commonly brought up in manga breakdowns. It's about how your eye moves across the page. Good eye flow will have the images assist you in the correct reading order. I personally don't value eye flow that much, because it will exist regardless of whether you try or not. Have you seen those pages in manga that say you're reading the wrong way? They teach you the order of which panel and word bubble to read, right? So without images, there's already a natural reading order for panels. Artists can put extra effort into making that flow smoother with the images, but the natural flow is always going to be there. Frame flow is a word I made up to describe the flow of panels as keyframes in an animation. Ignoring eye flow, if I take each panel and flip through them like an animation, how smooth does it look? Good frame flow requires in-between frames, which describes frames that are placed in between keyframes to make the animation smoother. In another video, I described a method that I'll rename 4-step action. The 4 steps are wind up, flight path, impact, and follow through. For a simple punch, that would be the fist winding back, the fist flying towards the target, the fist making contact, and then the fist following through as the target flies back. For good choreo, at least 2 of the 4 steps will be present. Including all 4 can make the action feel slower, which is why I say only 2 are necessary. Let's go through some specific examples. I'll start with the fundamentals. They are basic in the sense that they aren't using any unique techniques. They just have really strong foundations in the 4 steps. The first use of frog kumite is a really simple example. Panel 1 has both winding up. Panel 2 has both flying and following through because they missed. Panels 3 and 4 have the invisible impact slowly landing. The panel on the next page has the follow through with the paint spinning back. Deku vs Gran Torino has a brilliant set of pages. Deku winds up in a panel, then leaps in another, then he attacks on the next page, but the speed trail of Torino shows that he dodges and ends up behind him. In the next panel, Deku follows through his jump by landing as Torino jumps towards him. Notice how Torino landing in panel 1 was also the wind up for his jump in panel 2. This is a slightly advanced technique. You can have characters in different steps all in one panel to use up less panels and make the pacing faster. In the third panel, Deku turns to wind up. On the next page, he jumps. On another panel, he winds up by touching the ceiling. On the next page, he flies towards Torino. Next panel, it misses the impact. Deku follows through by falling as Torino winds up his jump. In the next panel, Torino flies and lands an attack on Deku. Deku vs Stain has a great exchange too. Deku runs in, then Stain swings his sword in step 2. Deku starts to go low in a few panels of slow-mo running, while Stain winds up a second blade. In the big panel, Stain swings both blades and follows through, but they miss because Deku slid between his legs. In the next page, Stain winds up, aiming where Deku is at. Next panel he swings, but Deku's already in the air above him. Not showing the hero's movements communicates how fast he is. The sword follows through by scratching the ground. Deku winds up, and in a double spread, he punches him with an impact and follow through. This is the same move that he used on Torino in the same arc. Beautiful. Deku vs Bakugo has multiple pages of straight choreo. In the first page, Bakugo winds up in one panel and then attacks in the next, but misses. Then he takes 2 panels to wind up and attacks in the third, missing again. Bakugo winds up in a panel and Deku winds up his kick, but in the next panel, something beautiful happens. Deku's attack follows through, but it misses because Bakugo is behind him. How did he get there? With the 2 explosions that show the path he traveled. The eye flow helps with this. In the next page, Bakugo winds up, then lands in another panel, and then follows through in another. This is just the basics, the foundation. Now, some advanced techniques. In this one fight, Manga uses mini panels for in-between frames. The flight path is given a big panel, while the impact is given a mini panel. The technique allows for important parts of the choreo to get more space, while less important parts can be read quickly, pacing the fight well. Normally, the impact should take up more space, but these impact panels can be small because both impacts are blocked attacks. Additionally, doing this twice in a row creates a smooth rhythm. On top of excellent frame flow, it has good eye flow. This is a brilliant page that has inspired my work sometimes. Staying with Magi, after images are another great tool to use. It allows for multiple actions to be fit in the space of one panel. Looking at Toto's first attack, she winds up and follows through. In that same panel, Alibaba has an after image showing how he was in her attack range, while his present image shows how he moved out of that range. In the next panel, he stabs at her. The after image shows how Toto was about to get hit. The present image shows how she moved back. In another page, the after images are used to show the sword clashes that the two had over time. 3 clashes are fit into one panel, and we have a clear understanding of the order of the attacks thanks to the toning, the foreshortening, and the eye flow. There's another technique hidden within this panel. With one windup, Alibaba launches 3 clashes. This is an effective shortcut to paneling combos. Tokyo Ghoul uses this too. In panel 1, Kaneki is sorta winding up. Then in the next panel, he's attacking with his right. In the next panel, he's attacking with his left. The second attack doesn't need a wind up, since the first already had one. But due to the pose in panel 2, I could argue that he's winding up his left here. In the next page, there's a panel winding up the jump. The next panel has the flight and impact in one backflip attack. Combining steps into one panel is a slightly advanced technique. The next page has follow through, with the opponent sliding back. This page in Ichigo vs Ulquiorra has a beautiful close-up wide shot combo. First, the Arrancar's attack is shown close up for energy, then it's shown from wide for clarity, then Ichigo's swing is close up for energy, then we see it from afar for clarity, showing that Ulquiorra evaded it. Furthermore, in the second panel, the wide shot shows Ichigo winding up for his attack. Towards the end of JJK, the story adopted a similar technique. Major spoilers ahead. There would be a close-up of the impact step, then a wide shot of the follow-through. With Sukuna's first knee, the wide shot is the wind-up, but with Sukuna's punch, Yuji's punch, and Yuji's knee, it's a close-up impact followed by a wide shot follow-through. This is a strong shortcut that can add more aggressiveness to the attacks. Now, these pages I'll cover have creativity in the ideas behind the fight scene. By taking advantage of the environment, weapons, or powers the characters have, they create choreography that could only happen in their story. I'll start with Ichigo vs Ikaku. All of these fights have good fundamentals, but since you should have an understanding of those now, I don't need to repeat them. Because Ikaku was initially standing on a rooftop, it allowed him to jump down for a dropping slash. The panel of just a slash in the black background is a neat technique for impact panels. Ichigo attacks, but the third C blocks it with his scabbard. Then he uses his free sword to swing at Ichigo. The substitute Soul Reaper steps on the scabbard as a foothold and backflips off of it to dodge the attack. Then he spins in midair to launch an attack at the same time as his opponent. Apart from the good 4-step action, the choreography was very creative and cool. It took advantage of the location, weapons, and fighting style. In Kagurabachi, Chihiro vs Yura had some good pages. Chihiro has a blade with lightning powers, while Yura just uses hand-to-hand combat. The two start by clashing. In that clash, the opponent is already preparing his next attack. Yura attacks, but Chihiro dodges and throws his sword in the air behind the opponent. Using magic, he commands it to come back, trying to stab the opponent on the way, but the villain dodges. The lightning trail shows the travel path. Later in the fight, when Chihiro has him pinned against a wall, the opponent uppercuts the protagonist, then appears behind him for a kick. Chihiro uses lightning to match his speed and also appears behind him, but Yura uses the momentum of his kick to step on the wall. After stopping the hero's attack with his hand, the villain pushes off the wall to land a kick on the hero. This fight used fighting style, magic, weapons, and location. Finally, Shobotai. Shinra has fire feet. He kicks, but Joker dodges. While still in the air, the hero uses the jet propulsion from his feet to attack with his other leg, but the villain blocks. Without touching the ground, he uses the propulsion again to spin around and kick with the same foot. This is also blocked, but it launches Joker back. Shinra finishes the combo by flying up and launching a flying kick straight at him. Shinra's powers and fighting style created a fight that could only happen in this story. The Bakugo and Gran Torino fights also had creativity behind them, but I didn't want to use the same sample twice. There are a lot of good Naruto examples, but I already covered most of them in another video about panel flows and combos, so I didn't repeat them here. That is my breakdown of manga choreography. Recap. Frame flow is more important than eye flow. The 4 steps of action are wind up, flight, impact, and follow through. Only 2 steps are needed minimum. Multiple steps can be combined in one panel. There are advanced techniques in the language of comics, like after images and mini panels. Finally, combine multiple interesting elements into your fight to create a choreography that can only exist with those elements. If this video does well and I find more examples, I can create a second part.